Friends, today's topic of discussion is Golden Year of Publishing. Which year is called the Golden Year of Publishing? The answer is 1922. 1922 is the very year which can be considered as the Golden Year of Publishing. In this year, many books were published. Very remarkable books those were. First one is Ulysses. This book was written by James Joyce. I will mention the names of books which were all published in 1922. First one is Ulysses. This was written by James Joyce. Ulysses covers the events of a single day from the point of view of three separate people. This is a novel actually, a modernist tale drawing from Homer's Odyssey. This book was written by James Joyce depending on Odyssey. Odyssey is an Greek epic written by Homer. This Ulysses has been referred to as a demonstration and summation of the entire movement. Loosely based on the Odyssey, this landmark of modern literature follows ordinary Dubliners in 1904. Capturing a single day in the life of Dubliner Leopold Bloom, his friends Buck Mulligan and Stephen Dedalus, his wife Molly. All these are the characters can be found in this book. Joyce pushes Celtic lyricism and vulgarity to splendid extreme. Capturing experimental techniques range from interior monologues to exuberant wordplay and earthly humor. What is the genre of this novel? It is a modernist novel, comic novel, quest novel. It was written in English. What is the time and place of this book? It was written in Italy, Zurich, Switzerland, Paris from 1914 to 1921, and it was published in 1922. What is the date of first publication? Individual episodes were published serially starting in 1918. As a novel, it was first published in 1922. This Ulysses was first serially published in the Little Review as a novel by Shakespeare and Company. Narrator. Who was the narrator? Episodes 1, 2, 4, 12, 16 and 17 feature anonymous narrators. Episode 3 features Stephen's thought. Episode 13 features an amalgamation of anonymous narrator and Bloom. Episode 15 has no narrator. Molly Bloom is the first person narrator of episode 18. Episode 1, 2, 4, 11, 16 and 17 are told from the third person point of view. Episode 3 features interior monologue. Episode 12 is told from the first person. Episode 13 is told from the third and first person. Episode 14 is told variously in the third person and first person. Episode 15 is in play script form. Episode 18 features an interior monologue. It was totally written in present tense. What is the setting? It was started at 8 a.m. June 16, 1904, approximately 3 a.m. June 17, 1904. What is the place setting? The novel sets in Dublin, Ireland and its surrounding suburbs. Stephen Dedalus is the protagonist. Another protagonist is Leopold Bloom and Molly Bloom is also another protagonist. What are the major conflicts? The answer is Molly Bloom's infidelity with Blaise Boylan. Stephen Dedalus' search for a symbolic father. Leopold Bloom's desire for a son. What are the themes? The answer is the quest for paternity, the remorse of conscience, compassion as heroic, parallel or necessity of multiple perspectives. What is the motives? The answer is lightness and darkness. The home surpassed the east. The next book is The Wasteland, and Prufrock, and other poems. All these were written by T.S. Eliot. One of the most important poems of the modernist movement, The Wasteland, is divided into 5 sections. The sections are The Burial of the Dead, A Game of Chess, The Fire Sermon, Death by Water, What the Thunder Said. It was published in 1922. The 434-line poem first appeared in the United Kingdom in the October issue of Eliot's journal, The Criterion, and in the United States in the November issue of The Dial. This is another journal. It was published in book form in December 1922. Among its famous phrases are, April is the cruelest month, I will show you fear in a handful of dust, and the mantra in the Sanskrit language, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. This poem was dedicated to Ezra Pound. The dedication is drawn from the Divine Comedy, the 14th century epic poem by Dante. Legends including Kingfisher and Holy Grail, another Oedipus Rex. This volume brings together 3 of T.S. Eliot's powerful collection into one. It includes such poems as The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, Portrait of a Lady, Preludes, Gerontion, Sweeney Among the Nightingales, and The Wasteland. Next book is Jacob's Room. It was written by Virginia Woolf. Jacob's Room is Virginia Woolf's 3rd published novel. Jacob's Room is the story of a sensitive young man named Jacob Flanders. The life story, character, and friends of Jacob are presented in a series of separate scenes and mentions from his childhood through college at Cambridge, love affairs in London, and travels in Greece to his death in war. Set in pre-war England, the novel begins in Jacob's childhood and follows him through college at Cambridge and into adulthood. The novel is in 14 chapters, depict the life and death of Jacob Flanders, born around 1887. Virginia Woolf's 3rd novel, this one is. Next book is The Beautiful and Damned. It was written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Largely based on the relationship between author and his wife, it offers a social documentation on sex, morality, money, and golden age of jazz in Cafe Society, New York. Embellished with the author's lyrical prose, here is the story of Harvard-educated, aspiring aesthetic Anthony Patch and his beautiful wife Gloria. As they await the inheritance of his grandfather's fortune, their restless marriage sours under the influence of alcohol and avarice. Next book is The Velveteen Rabbit. It was written by Margery Williams. It is a children's tale concerning a small toy rabbit and his desire to become real. The book is charmingly illustrated by William Nicholson. One night, the boy's nanny gives the rabbit to the boy to sleep with, in place of a lost toy. The rabbit becomes the boy's favorite toy, enjoying pinches with him in the spring, and the boy regards the rabbit as real. Nursery magic is very strange and wonderful, and only those playthings that are old and wise and experienced like the skin horse understand all about it. Like the skin horse, Margery Williams understood how toys and people become real through the wisdom and experience of love. Next book is England, My England. It was written by D.H. Lawrence. It is a heavily revised and edited collection of what Lawrence considered to be his best short stories, set against the backdrop of First World War. It is a collection of short stories. Most of these versions were placed in magazines or periodicals. 10 were later selected and extensively revised by Lawrence for the England, My England volume. This was published on 24 October 1922 by Thomas Selzer in US. The first UK edition was published by Martin Sika in 1924. Next book is The Red House Mystery. The Red House Mystery was written by A. Millane. In it, Millane takes readers to the Red House, a comfortable residence in the placid English countryside that is the bachelor home of Mr. Mark Ablett. While visiting this cozy retreat, amateur detective Anthony Gillingham and his scum Bill Beverly investigates their genial hostess' disappearance and its connection with a mysterious shooting. Between games of billiards and bowls, the taking of tea, and other gentle pursuits, Gillingham and Beverly explores the possibilities in a light-hearted series of capers involving secret passageways, underwater evidence, and other atmospheric devices. It was Millane's only mystery novel. Next book is Just William. It was written by Rismel Crompton. The short story collection Just William appeared in installments printed over a period of nearly 50 years. The series follows the escapades of mischievous 11-year-old unruly schoolboy William Brown, who, though appearing in a contemporary setting is time, never actually ages. The Just William series is a sequence of 39 books. Published over a period of almost 50 years between 1922 and 1970, the series is notable for the fact that the protagonist remains at the same 11 years of age, despite each book being set in the era in which it was written. The first book was Just William, and often the entire series is named after this book. Next book is The Garden Party and Other Stories and Fly. These were written by Catherine Mansfield. Written during the final stage of her illness, The Garden Party and Other Stories is full of sense of urgency and was Catherine Mansfield's last collection to be published during her lifetime. The 15 stories featured, many of them set in her native New Zealand, vary in length and tone from the opening story At the Bay. Sensitive revelation of human behavior, these stories reveal Mansfield's supreme talent as an innovator who freed the story from its conventions and gave it a new strength and prestige. Another story is The Fly. It is a short story. Mansfield wrote the story in February 1922 at the Victoria Palace Hotel in Montparnasse, Paris. It was first published in The Nation and Athenaeum on 18 March 1922 and in The Dove's Nest and Other Stories in 1923. The story relates to the death of a soldier in World War I. In October 1915, Mansfield's younger brother, Leslie Beauchamp, was killed during a grenade training drill while serving with the British Expeditionary Force in Belgium. He was 21 years old. Next book is The Worst Journey in the World. It was written by Ashley Cherry Garrett. It recounts Robert Falcon Scott's ill-fated expedition to the South Pole. Ashley Cherry Garrett, the youngest member of Scott's team and one of the three men to make and survive the notorious winter journey, draws on his first-hand experiences as well as the diaries of his compatriots to create a stirring and detailed account of Scott's legendary expedition. Cherry himself would be among the search party that discovered the corpses of Scott and his men, who had long since perished from starvation and brutal cold. It is through Cherry's insightful narrative and keen descriptions that Scott and other members of the expedition are fully memorialized. Next book is Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. It is Hermann Hesse's classic novel. It has delighted, inspired, and influenced generations of readers, writers, and thinkers. In this story of a wealthy Indian Brahmin who casts off a life of privilege to seek spiritual fulfillment, Hesse synthesizes disparate philosophies, Eastern religions, Jungian archetypes, Western individualism into a unique vision of life expressed through one man's search for true meaning. Next book is Babbitt. It was written by Sinclair Lewis. Babbitt is a satirical novel about American culture and society that critiques the vacuity of middle class life and the social pressure toward conformity. The controversy provoked by Babbitt was influential in the decision to award the Nobel Prize in Literature to Lewis in 1930. Next book is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It was written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, a witty and fantastical satire about aging, is one of his most memorable stories. In 1960, Benjamin Button is born an old man and mysteriously begins aging backward. At the beginning of his life, he is withered and worn, but as he continues to grow younger, he embraces life. He goes to war, runs a business, falls in love, his children goes to college and prep school, and as his mind begins to develop, he attends kindergarten and eventually returns to the care of his nurse. This strange and haunting story embodies the sharp social insight that has made Fitzgerald one of the great voices in the history of American literature. Next book is Secret Adversary, written by Agatha Christie. Tommy Brassford and Prudence Tophens Cowley are young in love, and their flat broke. Just after Great War, there are few jobs available, and the couple are desperately short of money. Restless for excitement, they decide to embark on a daring business scheme, Young Adventurers Limited. Willing to do anything, go anywhere. Hiring themselves out proves to be a smart move for the couple. In their first assignment for the mysterious Mr. Whittington, all Tuppence has to do in their first job is take an ill-expense paid trip to Paris and pose as an American named Jane Finn. But with the assignment comes a bribe to keep quiet, a threat to her life, and the disappearance of her new employer. Now, their newest job are playing detective. Where is the real Jane Finn? The mere mention of her name produces a very strange reaction all over London. So strange, in fact, that they decided to find this mysterious missing lady. She has been missing for 5 years, and neither her body nor the secret documents she was carrying have ever been found. Now, post-war England's economic recovery depends on finding her and getting the papers back. But the two young working undercover for the British ministry know only that her name and the only photo of her is in the hands of her rich American cousin. It is not long before they find themselves plunged into more danger than they ever could have imagined. A danger that could put an abrupt end to their business and their lives. The next book is The Voyages of Dr. Dolittle. It was written by Huff Lofting. The story is structured as a first-person account given by Tommy, who is now a very old man. The boy, who was the son of the village cobbler, first meets Dr. Dolittle when he takes a hurt squirrel to the doctor for treatment. Tommy and the doctor quickly becomes friends, and Boy soon learns how to communicate with animals in their own languages. The remarkable talking parrot, Polynesia, and other amazing creatures from the previous book also appear in this sequel. Next book is The Diamond as Big as the Ridge and Other Stories. It is written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Tales of the Jazz Age was published in 1922. Is inexpensive volume comprises The Diamond as Big as Ridge, The Ice Place, Bernice Bobs Her Hair, May Day, The Jelly Bean, and The Offshore Pirate. The next book is The Enormous Room. This Enormous Room was written by E. E. Cummings. It is the poet's prose memoir, recounts his military service in World War I, when a comedy of errors led to his unjust arrest and imprisonment for treason. It is an autobiographical novel. The next book is The Man Who Knew Too Much. It was written by G.K. Chesterton. A prolific and popular writer, G.K. Chesterton is best known as the creator of detective priest Father Brown. The 8 adventures in this classic British mystery trace the activities of Horne Fisher, the man who knew too much, and his trusted friend Harold Marsh. Although Horne's keen mind and powerful detective gifts make him a natural sleuth, his inquiries have a way of developing moral complications, notable for their wit and sense of wonder. These tales offer an evocative portrait of upper caste society in pre-World War I England. It is a book of detective stories. The next book is Tales of Jazz Age. It is written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Tales of Jazz Age was published in 1922. It is a collection of 11 short stories by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Divided into 3 separate parts according to subject matter, it includes one of his better-known short stories. The name of the short story is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Next book is My Life and Work. It was written by Henry Ford. My Life and Work is the autobiography of Henry Ford, written in conjunction with Samuel Crowther. My Life and Work chronicles the rise and success of one of the greatest American entrepreneurs and businessmen. Henry Ford and the Ford Motor Company will forever be identified with the early 20th century American industrialism. The innovations to business and the direct impact on the American economy of Henry Ford and his company are immeasurable. The next book is A Short History of the World by H.G. Wells. Spanning the origins of the earth to the outcome of the First World War, this is a brilliantly compelling account of the evolution of life and the development of the human race. Along the way, Wells considers such diverse subjects as the Neolithic era, the rise of Judaism, the Golden Age of Athens, the life of Christ, the rise of Islam, the discovery of America, and the Industrial Revolution. Breathtaking in its scope and passionate in its intensity, this history remains one of the most readable of its kind. The next book is The Hairy Ape. The Hairy Ape is an expressionist play by American playwright Eugene O'Neill. It is about a beastly, unthinking lever known as Yank, the protagonist of the play, as he searches for a sense of belonging in a world controlled by the rich. At first, Yank feels secure as he strokes the engines of an ocean liner and is highly confident in his physical power over the ship's engines and his men. However, when the rich daughter of an industrialist in the steel business refers to him as a filthy beast, Young undergoes a crisis of identity and so starts his mental and physical deterioration. He leaves the ship and wanders into Manhattan, only to find he does not belong anywhere, neither with the socialists on Fifth Avenue nor with the labor organizers on the waterfront. In a fight for social belonging, Young's mental state disintegrates into animalistic, and in the end, he is defeated by an ape in which Young's character has been reflected. The Hairy Ape is a portrayal of the impact industrialization and social class has on the dynamic character Young. The next book is Aaron's Road. Aaron's Road is a picaresque novel by D.S. Lawrence. Aaron Sisson, a union official in the coal mines of the English Midlands, is trapped in a still marriage. He is also an amateur but talented flutist. At the start of the story, he walks out on his wife and two children and decides on impulse to visit Italy. His dream is to become recognized as a professional musician. During his travels, he encounters and befriends Rawdon Lilly, a Lawrence-like writer who nurses Aaron back to health when he is taken ill in post-war London. Having recovered his health, Aaron arrives in Florence. Here he moves in intellectual and artistic circle, argues about politics, leadership and submission, and has an affair with an aristocratic lady. The novel ends with an anarchist or fascist explosion that destroys Aaron's instrument. The next book is The Judge. It was written by Rebecca West. It is a complex, densely written novel with some breathtaking descriptions of Scottish and English landscape. It is also highly descriptive, dense writing that some readers dislike, while others may find the highly dramatic melodrama of the end of the novel at odds with what had come before it. Ellen thought herself a wonderful new sort of woman who was going to be just like a man. She would have been surprised if she had known how many of stern-browed ambitions, how much of other virile swagger of life were not the invention of her own soul, but had been suggested to her by an old woman who liked to pretend her daughter was a son. In the early years of the 20th century, Ellen Melville is a 17-year-old typist at a legal office. Ellen finds herself judged and treated as an object by the men for whom she works, but has inherited a great capacity for love from her impoverished mother, with whom she lives in a teeny dark house. Ellen cannot help but be dissatisfied with her life. She wants to experience all that life has to offer. When she meets client Richard Everland one day at work, she meets an older, worldlier man. A successful man who has traveled wildly with liberal political views. He seems to present much of what Ellen seeks. In Ellen and her simple good mother, Richard finds something he seeks and is soon determined to marry Ellen. Before their marriage, the couple travel back to Richard's home to meet his mother, of whom Richard has spoken to Ellen a good deal. Her body would imprison her in soft places. She would be allowed no adventures other than love, no achievements other than birth. Friends, I have mentioned only the important books which were published in 1922. There are many writings, many books. You may search it, but for the purpose to crack the exam like NET, SET and others, these books are enough, I think. Thank you for watching this video. Hope to see you in the next video.